Mexico City, March 2024. Teacher Carmen guides 22 5-year-olds through the halls of the National Museum of Art. It's an ordinary morning, field trip, nothing special. Until everything changes. Mateo Ramirez stops dead in front of a replica of Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper. His classmates run toward the colonial sculptures, laughing and pointing. But Mateo doesn't move. He stands completely still, frozen. His brown eyes dilate wide. Carmen calls his name twice. No response. Then something impossible happens. The boy raises his right arm and points directly at the apostle Judas in the painting. His voice changes. It becomes deep, adult, precise. 13 steps from the left, 6th shadow. That's where the first one is. The words come out with terrifying clarity. Carmen feels the air grow heavy around her. A security guard approaches, concerned. But Mateo keeps talking, like he's reciting from memory, like he's reading something no one else can see. Inverted triangle in Thomas's right hand. 9 fingers visible in total. 3 groups of 3. The code is complete. His finger moves with mathematical precision across the surface of the painting. Carmen tries to grab his shoulder. Mateo doesn't react. Other visitors start gathering around them. An elderly man with a cane whispers, "My God," and crosses himself 3 times. The temperature in the room seems to drop several degrees. Then Mateo turns his head toward his teacher. His eyes are completely white. Pure white. Only the cornea is visible. No iris, no pupil, nothing. The table is shaped like a B, Leonardo knew. The end is written in the geometry. His voice echoes impossibly in the enclosed space. Carmen screams for medical help. The boy collapses gently onto the marble floor. When he opens his eyes seconds later, they're brown again, bright and normal. "Teacher, why are we here?" Mateo smiles with the absolute innocence of his 5 years. What he had just said was technically impossible for a preschool child. But that was only the beginning. Because Mateo's words contained information that not even Da Vinci experts knew. And someone very far from Mexico was about to hear the recording that would change everything. How could a 5-year-old know secrets hidden for 500 years? The video lasts 47 seconds. Carmen recorded it with trembling hands while Mateo spoke in front of the painting. That night, she uploads it to a private Facebook group for teachers concerned about the incident. Within 72 hours, the video has 200,000 views. But there's one view that matters more than all the others combined. Dr. Alessandro Ferretti is in his office in Milan when his assistant bursts in without knocking. "Professor, you need to see this immediately." Alessandro is the director of the Leonardo da Vinci Institute. He has dedicated 38 years to the obsessive study of every brushstroke the Renaissance master ever made. He presses play. He watches the boy point. He listens to the words. His face goes completely pale. The coffee cup slips from his hand and crashes against the floor. "Not possible. Absolutely impossible." His voice trembles. Alessandro rewinds the video 6 times. Each repetition confirms what he doesn't want to believe. The Mexican child just described the code of 13 steps, a theory Alessandro proposed in an academic paper just 3 months ago, a document consulted by exactly 17 specialists worldwide, none of them in Mexico. But there's something worse. Mateo mentioned 9 visible fingers in a specific group of apostles. Alessandro never published that observation. He discovered it just 2 weeks ago using infrared scanning technology on the original mural in Milan. It is literally impossible for anyone outside his laboratory to know that detail. Alessandro immediately dials the school's number. His rapid Italian forces Carmen to find a translator. "I need to speak with that boy, now. It's urgent in a way you cannot imagine." 20 hours later, Alessandro is on a plane to Mexico City. In his briefcase, he carries classified documents about the Last Supper, chemical analyses, X-rays, geometric studies never shared publicly. During the flight, he reviews his notes obsessively. If the boy knows the code of 13 steps without having studied it, there are only 2 possible explanations. The first is that someone leaked highly confidential information to a 5-year-old child. The second is something Alessandro doesn't dare write on paper. The plane lands at 6 in the morning. Alessandro doesn't sleep, doesn't eat. He only thinks about the boy's expression in the video. Those white eyes. That voice that doesn't belong to a child's body. In his hotel room, he reviews the video once more. This time, he notices something new. Behind Mateo, in the reflection of the protective glass over the painting, there's a shadow that shouldn't be there. A human form that doesn't correspond to anyone present in the room.
Alessandro feels a chill run down his spine. He enlarges the image on his laptop. The shadow has proportions exact to those of an adult man from the 16th century. It's holding something in its hand, something that looks like an architect's compass. "Good God," he whispers in Italian. "Leonardo, is that you?" But the most terrifying question still has no answer. If this child is really connected to Da Vinci in some impossible way, what other secrets are waiting to be revealed? The Ramirez house sits in Colonia Narvarte. It's modest, clean, full of children's drawings on the refrigerator. Alessandro rings the doorbell at exactly 9 in the morning. Maria Ramirez opens the door with suspicion. "You're the Italian?" Her voice sounds exhausted. "Mateo hasn't slept well since the incident. He wakes up screaming numbers in the middle of the night. 13, 9, 3, always the same ones." Alessandro enters and sees the boy sitting on the floor playing with building blocks. Mateo looks up and smiles. "Hello, sir. Are you here about the painting?" His childish Spanish is perfectly normal. No trace of the deep voice from the museum. The researcher kneels in front of him. He pulls a photograph from his briefcase. It's an enlarged detail of the Last Supper, specifically Thomas's right hand. "Mateo, can you tell me what you see here?" The boy looks at the image for 5 seconds. Then his body tenses. His pupils contract into microscopic black points. When he speaks, his voice changes again. "Triangle with vertex pointing down, alchemical symbol for water. But Leonardo inverted it. It's not water. It's descending fire, the flood that comes from the sky." Maria drops the glass she was holding. Alessandro feels his heart pound so hard it might explode. He pulls out a recorder. "Mateo, how do you know this?" The boy's eyes remain fixed on the photograph. "He shows me. The man with the long beard comes at night. He takes me to his workshop. It smells like linseed oil and pigments. He shows me the secret numbers, the ones he hid so only certain eyes could see them." Alessandro trembles as he writes. "What else does he show you?" Mateo stands up and walks to his bedroom. He returns with a school notebook, opens it to a specific page. Alessandro sees a drawing made with crayons. It's a childish sketch, but the proportions are perfect. Too perfect. It's the architectural design of the Cenacolo at Santa Maria delle Grazie in Milan.
the refectory where the original Last Supper mural is painted. It includes exact measurements, precise angles, details that only someone who had physically been there could know. Mateo, Alessandro's voice is barely a whisper. Have you ever been to Italy? The boy shakes his head.
No, sir, but he takes me there in dreams. He shows me the cracks in the wall, the window that faces the garden, the place where the bomb fell in 1943.
Alessandro feels reality fracturing around him. The Allied bomb fell on the convent on August 15, 1943. It destroyed part of the refectory, but miraculously, the Last Supper survived. That specific detail exists in wartime historical archives, not in children's books. Maria is crying silently.
My son is sick, isn't he? There's something wrong with his brain.
Alessandro shakes his head slowly. Mrs. Ramirez, your son is not sick. Your son is a portal. And what's on the other side is something science cannot explain yet. Mateo smiles and returns to playing with his blocks as if nothing happened. But before Alessandro can ask more questions, the boy says something without looking up.
Next time, bring the Vatican documents, the ones they hide in the secret archive. We need to compare them.
The researcher feels his legs give out. He never mentioned anything about Vatican documents, but they absolutely exist. And Alessandro has special authorization to consult them. How the hell does this kid know?
Alessandro sets up his base of operations in a hotel near the Ramirez house.
For 3 days, he conducts exhaustive tests with Mateo. Each session reveals something more impossible than the last. On the 4th day, he brings a specially designed puzzle. Digital fragments of The Last Supper reorganized randomly. Mateo, can you show me where each piece goes? Alessandro expects the child to take at least 20 minutes. It's a 200-element puzzle. Mateo completes it in 97 seconds. Not only that, while placing the digital pieces on the tablet, he narrates.
This fragment contains Philip's third eye. Leonardo painted it using a sfumato technique with 3 layers. The first is ochre, the second has traces of vermilion, the third is a transparent glaze with walnut oil.
Alessandro verifies each claim against his database of chemical analyses. Everything is exact. Absolutely everything. Including technical details that required months of mass spectrometry to confirm. That night, Alessandro organizes an emergency video call with the International Council of Leonardo Studies. 15 experts from 8 countries watch in silence as Mateo answers questions that would make a university professor sweat.
How many nails are visible on the table?
Asks Dr. Chen from Beijing.
0.
Mateo responds without hesitation.
Leonardo eliminated all metallic elements from the central composition. It's a symbolic decision. Metal represents betrayal. Only Judas has visual contact with metallic objects outside the main frame.
Dr. Chen frantically checks her notes.
My God, he's right. I published that theory just 6 months ago in a Chinese academic journal.
Professor Goldstein from Tel Aviv asks the next question. What does the number 13 represent in the hidden geometry of the painting? Mateo's eyes become glassy.
13 is the death of the cycle. 13 is the necessary betrayal. 13 is the step that breaks the perfect circle and allows rebirth. Leonardo knew. That's why there are 13 figures, but 14 shadows. The extra shadow belongs to the viewer. It's us. We have always been part of the betrayal. Absolute silence on the video call. No one had ever noticed the 14th shadow. Alessandro enlarges a high-resolution photograph of the original mural. He applies ultraviolet light filters. And there it is. A shadow projected from outside the frame. A shadow that technically points toward whoever observes the work. "This is impossible," Professor Goldstein murmurs. "I've spent 40 years studying this painting." Mateo continues speaking in that voice that doesn't belong to him. "Leonardo left a mathematical message. If you measure the distance between each apostle and Christ, you get the Fibonacci sequence. But if you do it in reverse order, starting from Judas, you get the exact date." Alessandro feels the air leave his lungs. "What date, Mateo?" The boy looks directly into the camera. "October 28th, 2025, the day when the greatest secret will be revealed, the day when the earth will tremble under the weight of truth." Maria Ramirez, listening from the kitchen, drops a pot. The crash is deafening. When she runs into the living room, Mateo is unconscious on the couch. His breathing is shallow. His skin is pale as marble. Alessandro immediately checks the calendar on his phone. October 28th, 2025. Exactly 7 months away. One of the experts on the video call whispers something in German. Alessandro translates mentally. Das Ende kommt. The end is coming. Mateo wakes 30 seconds later. He asks for a glass of water in the normal voice of a 5-year-old. He remembers nothing of what he said. But on his right palm, there's something that wasn't there before. A symbol drawn in invisible ink, visible only under ultraviolet light. Alessandro illuminates the child's palm with his special flashlight. It's Leonardo da Vinci's personal seal, exactly like the one that appears in the original notebooks preserved at Windsor Castle. Who or what is marking this child?
Alessandro makes a decision that could cost him his reputation. "Mrs. Ramirez, I need to take Mateo to Italy, to where the original mural is. I believe we'll find answers there." Maria rejects the idea immediately.
"My son isn't going anywhere. This is already too much."
But that night, Mateo has another nocturnal visit. Alessandro stays sleeping on the living room couch with the family's permission. At 3:42 in the morning, he hears barefoot steps. Mateo walks in his sleep toward the living room. His eyes are open but completely white. The boy stops in front of Alessandro. He speaks in perfect Italian, 16th century Italian.
"Alessandro Ferretti, I have chosen you as guardian. You must take the boy to the cenacolo. Only there can the veil be lifted completely. Time is running out. October 28th. Remember."
Alessandro responds in trembling Italian.
"Who are you?"
The smile that appears on Mateo's face is not childish. It's ancient, wise, disturbing.
"You know who I am, Alessandro. You have always known. That's why you dedicated your life to searching for me in every brushstroke. Now, I search for you, and I need you."
Mateo returns to his bed without waking. The next morning, Maria finds a drawing under her son's pillow. It's a portrait of Leonardo da Vinci. Drawn with such precision, it looks like a photograph, but made with colored crayons by 5-year-old hands. Maria finally accepts.
"But I'm going with him. He doesn't leave my side."
3 days later, they're on an Aeromexico flight to Milan. The plane crosses the Atlantic while Mateo sleeps deeply. Alessandro watches the boy sleep. In his dreams, Mateo smiles, murmurs words in Latin, draws invisible symbols in the air with his fingers. They land in Milan under gray rain.
Alessandro takes them directly to the convent of Santa Maria delle Grazie. It's Tuesday. The museum is closed to the public, but Alessandro has special access. They cross courtyards of ancient stone. Mateo has never been here before, but he walks as if he knows every corner. He stops exactly in front of the refectory door. "Here," he says simply. "This is where everything changed." Alessandro opens the heavy wooden doors. And there it is, the Last Supper, the original mural, 20 feet high, 30 feet wide, 500 years of history breathing in the cracked walls. Mateo enters slowly. His steps echo in the empty space. He stops exactly at the center of the room, the point where Leonardo's perspective converges perfectly. Maria holds her breath. Then Mateo raises both hands toward the mural. And something extraordinary happens. The refectory lights begin to flicker. The temperature drops sharply. Alessandro sees his breath condense in the air. A deep hum fills the space, as if the walls themselves are vibrating at an impossible frequency. Mateo screams, not with his voice, with Leonardo's voice. "Vedilo! Vedilo finalmente!" See it finally. And then Alessandro sees it. Something that had been there for 500 years, but that no one had ever noticed. On the wall, just above the mural, there are nearly invisible marks, cracks that form a pattern that isn't random. It's a map, an astronomical map, the exact positions of the stars on a specific date. Alessandro pulls out his phone and photographs frantically. He runs an astronomy program. The map corresponds to the night sky of October 28, 2025, at 11:33 p.m., Italian time. "Merciful God," Alessandro whispers. Leonardo predicted this 500 years ago. But the most terrifying revelation is yet to come.
Mateo collapses. His small body falls onto the marble floor of the refectory. Maria runs toward him, screaming his name. Alessandro calls emergency services, but the boy wakes before help arrives. "I'm okay, Mommy," he says in his tiny, normal voice. "I just had a long dream." But on his left hand, there's something new. Numbers written in what looks like dried blood. Alessandro photographs them immediately before Maria can wipe her son's hand clean. They're coordinates, latitude and longitude, precise to the 7th decimal. That night, in his office at the Institute, Alessandro enters the coordinates into Google Earth. He enlarges the image. His heart stops. The coordinates point to a specific location inside the same convent of Santa Maria delle Grazie, but not the refectory. It's the old North Garden, an area currently under renovation, closed to the public for 2 years. Alessandro calls the convent director at 11 at night. "Don Maurizio, I need urgent access to the North Garden, now." "Alessandro, it's 11 at night. What's so urgent?" "There's something buried there, something Leonardo left 500 years ago." Silence on the line. Then nervous laughter. "You've been drinking." "Don Maurizio, I am absolutely serious. I have precise coordinates. Give me 24 hours. If I find nothing, I'll never ask you for anything again." The next morning, a team of 5 people with ground-penetrating radar equipment arrives at the convent. Maria keeps Mateo resting at the hotel. The boy has a fever. 102 degrees. He babbles in ancient Italian while he sleeps. The team scans the area indicated by the coordinates. At 17 minutes, the lead technician calls Alessandro over. "Professor, there's an anomaly 3 meters down, something metallic, large." They obtain emergency permission to excavate. 6 hours later, the shovels hit something solid. Alessandro descends into the pit personally. With his own hands, he clears away centuries of compacted earth. It's an iron chest, wrought iron, with the seal of the Leonardo da Vinci family engraved on the lid. A seal that should be impossible, because Leonardo had no official noble family. But there it is, real, tangible, weighing exactly 95 pounds according to the scale they bring. Don Maurizio crosses himself 3 times. "Good God, how did you know?" Alessandro doesn't answer. He's crying, silent tears falling onto the oxidized surface of the chest. 38 years searching, and a 5-year-old boy led him directly to the greatest treasure of his life. They transport the chest to the Institute's restoration laboratory. Experts in ancient metals work for 4 hours to open the seal without damaging the contents. When the lid finally opens, Alessandro holds his breath. Inside are documents, hundreds of parchment sheets protected by vegetable resin, drawings, mathematical calculations, and in the center, a manuscript bound in leather. Alessandro reads the first page. It's written in Leonardo's characteristic mirror script, right to left, readable only with a mirror. The title makes his hands tremble. Il messaggio finale, per colui che vedrà oltre il velo. The final message, for the one who will see beyond the veil. Alessandro translates aloud while his colleagues record everything. "I write this in the year 1518, in the final days of my life. I have seen what is coming. I have calculated the celestial cycles. I have understood the pattern that the ancients hid. The Last Supper is not just a painting. It is a clock that marks the exact moment when humanity will face its greatest test." The document continues with astronomical calculations that Alessandro can barely follow. Predictions of planetary alignments, references to lost ancient texts, and a date that repeats again and again. October 28th, 2025, 11:33 p.m. At that moment, Leonardo writes, the child will come. A child who will see what I saw, who will speak with my voice, who will show humanity what it must know before the great change. Seek the child. Protect him, for he is the key. Alessandro looks up at his colleagues. Mateo. Leonardo wrote about Mateo 500 years ago. At the hotel, Maria feels a chill run through her. Mateo wakes suddenly from his fever. His temperature returns to normal in seconds. He looks at his mother and says with perfect clarity, "Mommy, they found it." Now the real part begins. What else did Leonardo prophesy? And why did he choose a 5-year-old Mexican boy to reveal it? The Leonardo manuscript contains 372 pages. Alessandro organizes an international team of translators and experts to decipher every line. They work non-stop for 5 days. What they find defies all logic. Leonardo didn't just predict the exact date, he predicted the place. A child will be born in the land where eagles reigned among ancient stones. They will call it Mexico. He will carry the number 5 in his years. He will see in March what I hid in April of 1498. Alessandro verifies the dates. Leonardo finished the Last Supper in April 1498, exactly 526 years before Mateo had his first episode at the museum. And Mateo was born on August 12, 2019, in Mexico City. The ancient,
Tenochtitlan, where the Mexica reigned among stones of ancestral temples. Every detail fits with impossible mathematical precision. But the most disturbing part of the manuscript comes on page 208. Leonardo describes a ritual. When the child stands before the complete work, in the place where my hand touched the wall for the last time, at the exact moment of celestial alignment, he must pronounce the words I left hidden. Only then will the veil fall, and humanity will see what was always there, but that no one could see. Alessandro reads the words written in ancient Latin. He memorizes them. He pronounces them aloud to test their sound. They are 13 words, not one more, not one less. They form a phrase that translates to, "What is above is like what is below, so that the miracle of the one thing may be accomplished." It's a quote from the Emerald Tablet, the oldest alchemical text in humanity. But Leonardo modified it slightly. He changed 3 key words. Alessandro notes the alterations but doesn't understand their meaning. He calls Maria. "We need to bring Mateo to the refectory on October 28th at exactly 11:33 p.m. It's crucial." Maria hesitates. "My son has already been through too much. I want to go home. I want this to end." "Mrs. Ramirez," Alessandro's voice is grave. "If Leonardo was right, if this is real, then Mateo isn't just a boy who sees things. He's a piece of something much bigger, something that was planned for centuries. And if we don't complete this exactly as Leonardo instructed..." "What?" Maria almost screams. "What will happen?" Alessandro reads the last line of the manuscript aloud. "If the ritual is not completed, the window will close forever, and humanity will lose its last chance to awaken before the final collapse." Maria cries silently on the other end of the line. "Why, my son? Why, Mateo?" "I don't know." Alessandro is brutally honest. But Leonardo did, and he wrote that the child would be willing, that something in his soul would recognize the truth, that he himself would ask to complete the mission. That night, Mateo has another dream. He wakes at 4 in the morning, walks to his mother's room. "Mommy, I have to go back to the painting. Leonardo needs me. He says there's something hidden behind Christ's eye, something only I can see." Maria hugs her son. "Aren't you afraid?" Mateo shakes his little head. "No, Mommy. Leonardo is good. He's just sad because nobody understood his message. But I understand it, and I'm going to help him." 3 days later, Alessandro receives special authorization from the Italian government. On October 28th, the Cenacolo will be completely closed to the public. Only 5 people will be present: Alessandro, Maria, Mateo, Don Maurizio, and Dr. Chen, who flew from Beijing to witness the moment. They install high-definition recording equipment, thermal cameras, electromagnetic sensors, radiation meters, all controlled by a technical team in an adjacent room. If something paranormal is going to happen, it will be documented from every possible scientific angle. October 28th dawns with clear skies over Milan. Maria dresses Mateo in white clothes, as Alessandro suggested. The boy is calm. He plays on his tablet during breakfast, watches dinosaur videos, laughs with absolute normality. But when the sun begins to set, Mateo grows still. He looks out the hotel window toward the north, toward where the convent stands. "It's almost time," he says simply. "Leonardo is waiting." Alessandro feels a knot in his stomach. He checks his watch. 6 in the evening. 5 hours and 33 minutes until the exact moment. What will a 5-year-old boy reveal that Leonardo da Vinci hid for 500 years? And is the world ready to know?
11:15 p.m. The refectory is lit only by candles. 14 candles, one for each figure in the mural. The flickering light creates dancing shadows over the faces of the apostles. Mateo enters, holding his mother's hand. He walks barefoot as Alessandro instructed, according to the manuscript. His small steps echo in the absolute silence. The electromagnetic sensors are already showing anomalous readings. Dr. Chen watches the monitors with disbelief.
This is impossible. The room's magnetic field is fluctuating with no apparent source.
Alessandro guides Mateo to the exact point, the geometric center of the room, the place where all of Leonardo's perspective lines converge. Mateo stops there, looks up. His brown eyes reflect the candlelight. 11:28, Don Maurizio announces, watching his clock. Mateo closes his eyes. His breathing becomes deep, slow, rhythmic. Alessandro notices the boy is breathing at exactly the same rhythm as the candles flicker, as if they're synchronized by an invisible force. 11:30. The thermal cameras register a temperature drop of 20 degrees in 5 seconds. Maria trembles, not from the cold, from something more primal, an ancestral fear that comes from deep within human biology. 11:32. Mateo's eyes open. They're completely white, like the first time at the museum, but now there's something more, an inner glow, as if light is coming from inside his skull. 11:33. Exactly. Mateo raises both hands. He pronounces the 13 words in perfect Latin. His childish voice mixes with something deeper, older. It's as if two voices are speaking simultaneously from the same throat. Quod est superius, est sicut quod inferius, ad perpetranda miracula rei unius. What is above is like what is below, to accomplish the miracles of the one thing. Then it happens. The mural changes, not physically, but something in perception shifts. Alessandro blinks in disbelief. The colors are more vibrant, the outlines more defined, and then he sees it. Something he had never seen before, despite thousands of hours studying every inch of the work. Behind Christ's head, there's a barely visible mark, a perfect circle with a point in the center. The alchemical symbol for gold, for the sun, for divine consciousness. My God, Alessandro whispers, it was always there. Dr. Chen screams from the monitors, "The cameras! Look at the cameras!" On the screens, the mural appears different, as if the cameras are capturing a wavelength the human eye normally can't see. But now they can. Now everyone can see it. There's text written in invisible pigments, pigments that only reveal themselves under specific electromagnetic conditions, conditions that apparently Mateo is generating with his mere presence. Alessandro runs toward the mural. He reads frantically the words appearing to float over the apostles. They're in ancient Italian, in Latin, in Greek, in Hebrew. It's a multi-layered message, a palimpsest of hidden knowledge. Betrayal is necessary for rebirth. The end of one cycle allows the beginning of the next. What you call apocalypse is only transformation. On October 28, 2025, Earth will enter perfect alignment with the galactic center. For 17 minutes exactly, the planet's vibrational frequency will change. Those who are prepared will ascend. The others will sleep another 500 years. It is not punishment. It is simply the natural process of spiritual evolution. Alessandro reads the words 3 times to make sure he's not hallucinating. But there they are, real, visible, recorded by 5 high-definition cameras. Mateo lowers his hands. The glow in his eyes disappears. The hidden words in the mural begin to slowly fade, as if the window of visibility is closing. "Quick!" Alessandro shouts. "Photograph everything before it disappears!" For 3 frantic minutes, they document every symbol, every word, every diagram that Leonardo masterfully hid in his masterpiece. It's enough information to rewrite the history of art, of science, of human spirituality. Then Mateo speaks in his normal voice. "It's done, Mommy. I finished. Can we go get pizza?" Maria laughs and cries at the same time. She hugs her son tightly.
Yes, my love, all the pizza you want.
But Alessandro can't move. He's reading the last line of the hidden message, the line that appeared just before fading, the most disturbing line of all. This message has been revealed 7 times in human history, through 7 children in different eras. Mateo is the last. If humanity does not awaken now, there will be no 8th opportunity. The cycle will end, and with it, everything you know as reality.
7 children. 7 times. Who were the other 6? And what happened to them? Alessandro spends 3 sleepless nights investigating. He searches historical archives for references to children with inexplicable abilities related to works of art. What he finds paralyzes him. Florence. A boy named Giovanni, age 7, predicted exact details of Masaccio's Trinity fresco before it was completed. He was declared possessed. He died at age 9 under mysterious circumstances. Rome. A 6-year-old girl named Lucia described the Sistine Chapel ceiling with absolute precision. Michelangelo hadn't started painting it yet. The girl was locked in a convent. She was never heard from again. Amsterdam. A 5-year-old boy named Jacob spoke in the exact dialect Rembrandt used in his private notes. He predicted the exact date of the painter's death. Jacob disappeared 3 weeks later. His body was never found. France. A 4-year-old boy named Pierre drew Van Gogh's Starry Night 3 months before the painter created it. Pierre was committed to a psychiatric facility. He died at age 12. Spain. During the Civil War, a 6-year-old girl named Carmen described every hidden symbol in Picasso's Guernica, while the artist was still painting it in Paris. Carmen disappeared during a bombing. She was never found. New York. A 5-year-old boy named Marcus predicted the creation of Basquiat's Untitled 1982, using the exact same symbols and colors. Marcus died in a car accident 2 years later. His family insists it was no accident. And now, Mateo, the 7th, the last according to Leonardo's message. Alessandro presents his findings to the international team. The room falls into sepulchral silence. Dr. Chen finally speaks.
All the children died young.
All had violent or mysterious deaths. All disappeared or were silenced. Maria, listening from the back of the room, stands up.
No, not my son. We're going back to Mexico, now.
Alessandro tries to calm her, but Maria is furious.
You knew something bad would happen. That's why you wanted him to come.
Mrs. Ramirez, Don Mauricio's voice is grave. If Mateo is truly the 7th, then his mission isn't finished. The message says he must reveal the complete truth before October 28th. That was only 3 days ago. There are still events to come. As if the universe is answering his words, Alessandro's phone rings. It's a number with a Vatican area code. An authoritative voice in formal Italian speaks without introducing itself. Dr. Ferretti, the Holy Father requests to see the child immediately. There is information that can only be shared in person. The boy has access to knowledge that has been under church custody for 2,000 years. We need to confirm exactly what he knows. A vehicle will pick you up in 2 hours. The call ends. Alessandro looks at Maria. The Vatican. They want to speak with Mateo. Maria takes her son's hand. Mateo, do you want to go? The boy looks at his mother with those brown eyes. So normal, so extraordinary. Yes, Mommy. There's something they have stored there. Something Leonardo asked me to recover. It's very important. 2 hours later, a black vehicle with Vatican diplomatic plates picks them up. The journey to Rome takes 4 hours. Mateo sleeps the entire way. But in his dreams, he smiles. His lips form words Alessandro manages to read. Almost there. It's almost complete. They arrive at the Vatican at dawn. They're escorted through corridors Alessandro has never seen, despite his multiple visits. Secret passages, stairs descending to underground levels. Finally, they reach an ancient wooden door. An elderly cardinal waits for them. The secret archive. Only 100 people in the world have access here. The child is now the 101st. They open the door, and what Mateo does upon entering leaves everyone breathless. The boy walks directly to a specific shelf. He pulls out a manuscript without hesitation, as if he knew exactly where it was. He opens it to a marked page. This is the true gospel, Mateo says in a voice that isn't his. The one they didn't want humanity to read. The one that explains the secret of the Last Supper. The one that reveals what Christ really taught about the transformation of consciousness. The cardinal goes pale. How? How do you know it's here? Mateo smiles. Because I was present when they hid it 1,700 years ago, in another body, with another name, but with the same purpose. Guardian of knowledge, until the moment came to reveal it. Mateo is claiming he lived before, that he's the reincarnation of someone who witnessed events nearly 2 millennia ago. And what does that forbidden gospel contain? The manuscript has 243 pages. It's written in ancient Aramaic. Mateo reads it aloud, translating simultaneously into Italian. His voice alternates between that of a child and that of an elderly man. It's disturbing and beautiful at the same time. Christ was not betrayed, Mateo reads. Judas followed precise instructions. The Last Supper was an initiation ritual. Each apostle represented a frequency of consciousness. Christ taught them how to raise their vibration to access higher dimensions of existence. The apparent betrayal was necessary to complete the cycle. Death was necessary for resurrection. The cardinal interrupts. This is heresy. Mateo looks at him with eyes that seem to contain centuries of wisdom. It's not heresy. It's the truth they hid because humanity wasn't ready. But now the time has come. Leonardo knew. That's why he painted the Last Supper as a map of transformation. Alessandro listens, fascinated, as Mateo explains how each element of the painting corresponds to a step in the process of raising consciousness. The hand gestures, the positions at the table, the hidden numbers, everything is code. On October 28, 2025, Mateo continues, Earth will enter alignment with the galactic center. For exactly 17 minutes, a window will open. Those who have prepared their consciousness will be able to make the leap. The others will continue in the cycle until they're ready. It's not punishment,
It's simply the natural process of spiritual evolution. Maria listens with silent tears. Her 5-year-old son is explaining concepts that philosophers and mystics have sought to understand for millennia. What must people do to prepare? Alessandro asks. Mateo closes the manuscript, looks directly at the camera recording everything, because he knows this recording will be seen by millions. They must remember who they really are, beyond the name, beyond the body, beyond personal history. You are consciousness experiencing physical reality, and that experience is about to expand in ways you cannot imagine. The boy stands, walks to a specific wall of the archive, touches a particular stone. The stone sinks slightly. A secret compartment opens. Inside is a small gold box. The cardinal screams. That has been there for 1800 years. No one knew how to open it. Mateo removes the box, opens it effortlessly. Inside is a crystal, a transparent quartz the size of an egg. But it's no ordinary crystal. When Mateo holds it, it begins to glow with its own light. This crystal was used by Christ during the real Last Supper, Mateo explains. It contains the exact frequency of that night, the frequency of transformation. Leonardo knew. He painted a reflection of this crystal hidden in the glass in front of Christ. He painted it using special pigments that could only be seen under certain conditions. Alessandro remembers the images from October 28th. There had indeed been a strange glow in that glass. He thought it was a camera error. Mateo hands the crystal to Alessandro. You must keep it, and on October 28th, 2025, at exactly 11:33 p.m., you must place it at the exact center of the refectory, under the point where the perspective lines converge. I will be there, and everyone who wants to be present can be. The transmission will be global. The awakening will be collective. And after? Maria asks, her voice broken. Mateo walks to his mother. He becomes completely the 5-year-old boy again. After, Mommy, we go home, and I go to kindergarten like every day, and I eat pizza on Fridays, and I play with my friends, because all this is important, but so is being a kid. Leonardo taught me that too.
6 months later, October 2025. The whole world knows Mateo's story. The Mexican boy who revealed Leonardo da Vinci's secrets. Millions of people plan to be watching on October 28th. Skeptics say it's a hoax. Believers say it's the most important event in human history. Mateo is at his home in Mexico City, playing with blocks, watching cartoons, being a normal kid. But sometimes Maria sees him looking out the window at the night sky, and she knows her son sees something she cannot see. Alessandro keeps the crystal stored in a special vault in Milan. He waits. The world waits. And somewhere between the dimensions of the visible and the invisible, Leonardo da Vinci smiles. His message was finally delivered. After 500 years of silence, humanity is about to remember what it always knew but forgot. October 28th approaches. Will the transformation be real? Or is this all simply an extraordinary story created by the mind of an exceptional child and the desires of those searching for meaning? The answer will arrive in exactly 183 days. And you, reader, who have followed this story to the end, will witness what happens. Because this isn't just the end of a story. It's potentially the beginning of something much greater than any of us can comprehend. The question is no longer whether Mateo is telling the truth. The question is, are you ready to discover what happens when the veil is lifted?
Time will tell. Time always tells.